Game of Thrones. It told a fantasy story, but the places where it was filmed are real. Most of the production was based in Northern Ireland. Castle Ward stood in for Winterfell. Its mix of Gothic stonework and classical design gave it the right balance between polished and rough, much like the Stark family itself. The dark hedges, a tunnel of beech trees planted in the 1700s, became the King's Road. These trees can live 200 to 300 years, but many are already at the end of their lifespan, threatened by fungal decay and storm damage. Their arching canopy forms naturally as upper branches outgrow the lower. It's a biological process that locks them together into that striking tunnel. Ballantoy Harbor, a fishing port built into Jurassic limestone cliffs that rise about 60 feet or 18 meters, played the Iron Islands. The jagged coast, shaped by centuries of wave erosion, looked harsh enough without computer effects. Scotland only appeared once. Doune Castle, a 14th century fortress built from local sandstone, was used as Winterfell in the pilot. Sandstone, it's quite porous, which means it breaks down under freeze and thaw cycles and acid rain. That slow chemical weathering explains why castles like Doune, with walls more than 40 feet or 12 meters high, require constant care just to stand today. Producers dropped it after the pilot, partly because the site was already famous from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. For King's Landing, crews turned to Dubrovnik, Croatia. Its medieval walls, some rising to 80 feet or 24 meters, they survived wars and earthquakes for centuries. The city's limestone streets reflect sunlight so well that filmmakers needed very little artificial lighting. Before Dubrovnik, the first season used Malta, Mdina, the Silent City, and Fort Ricasoli gave King's Landing its first look. But filming damaged a natural rock arch called the Azure Window. Public anger over that incident led HBO to move production, and the arch itself collapsed in 2017, brought down not by cameras, but by natural erosion and winter storms. And when the story went north of the wall, Iceland became the backdrop. Thingvellir National Park, it lies on the mid-Atlantic rift, where the North American and Eurasian plates move apart about an inch or 2.5 centimeters every year. The valley, the glaciers, the lava fields, and steam vents, they gave the series landscapes that looked alien because they came directly from the planet's shifting crust. For Dorne, Seville's Alcazar Palace was used. Built in the 900s and later expanded by Christian kings, its courtyards and tile work show a mixture of cultures. The design wasn't only for looks. The arches and water features, they were built into channel breezes and cool spaces through evaporation. Quite a practical answer to Andalusia's hot summers. Girona, another Spanish city, added narrow streets and layered stone walls that gave King's Landing fresh angles without digital effects. And then there's the small detail that reminds us how real that filming can be. At the Castle Black, set in Northern Ireland, a farmer's geese honked so loudly that they ruined take after take. And the only solution was for HBO to buy the whole flock just to quiet down the background. The dragons may have been special effects, but the castles, they were carved from sandstone and limestone. The roads ran along tectonic rifts, and even silence sometimes came down to biology. Fantasy rested on real geology, architecture, centuries of human craft, and these are the things that outlast the stories we tell. They remind us that every piece of legend is ultimately built on something solid beneath it. These are Interesting Things with JC.